Hi, I'm Angie Hilton and welcome to Unbreakable Entrepreneurs. As business owners, major challenges are inevitable. So how do we steel ourselves to weather the storms? Here, you'll find real-life stories of resilience, as well as tips from thought leaders and mental health experts on how to become unbreakable entrepreneurs. Health coach Michele is passionate about empowering clients to get to the root cause of what's causing physical, mental, and emotional imbalance within their life. And like many who enter the fields of healing, Michele has her own story of how she came through dark times. Michele says it's so lovely to have you with us today, and I can sense the beach vibes. You're down in Torquay, you've got the beach scene behind you, you're glowing from that sea air. How are you feeling?
Yes, I'm feeling good. I mean, it's got really cold, and my motivation to go out and have a surf has definitely got lower. But I'm planning a paddle as soon as I can.
Love it. Bring out the booties and the gloves and what do you wear as surfers these days? You just layer up.
Yeah, booties, gloves, and this winter I definitely want to get myself a hood because I haven't used one before, but I think that's going to be the game changer.
Yeah. Now, for those who have never encountered your wonderful work and what you do, can you explain in a nutshell what you do with your business?
Yes. So I have created a program called Project Mega Self, and I think the whole purpose of it is I'm wanting to change the way we are approaching mental health and really start educating people around lifestyle medicine, and specifically lifestyle medicine and tools for emotional regulation and just that deeper awareness of self. So I'm so passionate about the project and wanting to get into schools, organisations, just everywhere, hospitals, GPs, just a model of wellness that is holistic.
So what was your background to even develop this in the first place?
Wow, okay. So when I left school, I grew up in South Africa and went to uni in Johannesburg, and I studied to become a secondary school teacher, and I majored in food science and biology. Then I went and did a whole lot of stuff traveling, never really got into teaching, and came to live in Geelong and got a job at Belmont High. So I was at Belmont High for quite a few years. But in that time, I noticed how I was feeling really stressed, and the unhealthy habits that I was using in order to deal with all the suppressed emotion that I was carrying around, and started exploring different healing modalities. And I think the first one that I explored was tapping, and I was seeing a beautiful GP who had learnt and had studied tapping, which is emotional freedom technique. And we did some tapping around that, and I was just like going, oh my gosh, like we went back to some traumatic events that happened in South Africa that were locked in my body, and he's helped me move through some of those really challenging emotions and being able to almost release the emotional charge that my body was carrying. And I remember having this moment of going, wow, there is ways that we can move trauma out of the body, and in doing that, create more space so that we can then, start increasing that space between stimulus and response. And that just got me studying everything, reading everything. I was still teaching at Belmont High, and I just started learning everything there was about, traditional psychology, but also positive psychology, and then also getting into energetic psychology. And I guess over the years, the program has just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I guess because I'm a teacher, I was able to put it in a framework. I love teaching and I love frameworks, and I love structure in that way. So, 10 years on, it's now properly packaged up framework.
And are you mainly dealing with people one-on-one, or is it group sessions as well?
It's a bit of everything. I've got my clients that I see, a lot of my clients I'm seeing on a 3-month kind of time frame, and we're catching up every week. And those are people that are really wanting to have massive shifts in their health, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So there's a lot of accountability there. But I'm also doing a lot of speaking keynotes and really wanting to get the program out to more on that message to many level.
Amazing. I guess a lot of people that I know have gone into these fields often go into them having experienced some pretty hard stuff themselves, either trauma or depression, anxiety. Was there anything that you're open to sharing that led you to this path in the healing world?
Yes, I think I was a master at avoidance and suppression. Like, I wanted to be the child at high school that was happy, partier. So I think, and then I left South Africa and I just got into more partying. I went and did snowboarding seasons in Europe and I worked on yachts and I could just run. And I started noticing that the running wasn't working. And to keep myself at the level I needed to keep myself, I needed to drink more. And I was also using food in a very unhealthy way. So it was only when I got to Australia and I had my first daughter and I was having panic attacks. I was definitely struggling with anxiety. And then I think having a child, and I definitely had that. I hadn't been in Australia for very long, so I was didn't have that support. My family was all in South Africa. And I went into a very dark place and realized that the stuff that I'd been running around, running away from, it really needed to be sorted out. So it was that low mood, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and I would call it a disordered relationship with food that really needed to be dealt with.
So, how did you know? You got to that point of feeling it, but did you let yourself get worse and worse before you took any action? I know from my own experience, I kept thinking, I can deal with this myself. I can deal with this. Have a drink or whatever it might be to distract. But I try to say to people, get in early and get help. But did you let it go and spiral, or did you get onto it early?
Oh, I think I think that the first signs of me suppressing was when I was about 15. I only started seeking help when I was 30. Way too long of being in a negative cycle. And I think I could still be that fun person because I was always I had all my vices, but when the vices weren't working, the come downs and the moments that no one used to see. I remember being in London, just sitting on the floor of a toilet, just sobbing my eyes out, going, okay, something's got to stop here. You've got to find like a solution. But I don't know, Ange, I think when we were growing up too, South Africa especially, no one even spoke about going to see a psychologist. It just wasn't, I don't know, my school didn't have any support. There was just, my only way that I knew to do it was to run. And so, fundamental to Mega Self, there's 8 key strategies. Ask for help is one of those strategies, because I'm just so passionate that if we can teach people tools for emotional regulation and things that no one teaches us, we have to learn how to regulate our emotions. We have to learn how to choose one thought over another so that we don't go down that spiral. And yeah, it took me, and I guess that's why I'm so passionate about this. And maybe I needed all that feedback. I needed all those cycles. I needed to really understand trauma and its connection with addiction. I needed to understand so much before I got to this point where I am now. But if I can help one person, whether it's a year 8 student, get that help now, that would just make, that just fills me with so much. That's my why.
Absolutely. So when you were in that state, what were the first steps you took to try to come out of it?
Um, I think the biggest trigger for me was realizing that I had a daughter, this little baby that I was holding, and just I remember looking at her and going, oh my gosh, I need to be a role model for you. And that was the thing that really propelled me forward. And I went to go and see a GP, but I wanted to work still on an energy. There was something within me that knew that it needed to be beyond talk. And when I found this GP and he had studied hypnotherapy and emotional freedom technique, he was my first point of call.
Amazing. And so when you talk about energy, I think it's still new to a lot of people. How would you describe it, and how can people tap into their energy?
Yeah. So I think, if we see us as multidimensional, and there's this physical being, mental, emotional, and then an energy body, we've got to almost have all four of those aspects in alignment. The way I see energy is that suppressed trauma is held in the body at a cellular level in an energy format. So when we're moving it out of the body as energy, we start being able to channel that energy up through the meridian lines or through the energetic centers of the body and give it that. It's almost like giving it a channel for it to be released. And there's so many different ways to do it. Like, I think there's so much, Dr. Peter Stapleton, who's at Bond University, she's doing all her research on emotional freedom technique. And there's so much research that is starting to come out on the power of being able to actually move things on that energetic level.
Incredible. And I suppose too, for people who haven't experienced energy healing, it might be the case of, well, come and have it a go, feel the experience, and then you'll be able to say, oh no, that's rubbish, or that's amazing, or because I think I have experienced healing before from yourself and others, and I describe it that every time I leave, it actually feels better than a massage. It's like layers lift off, but you can't describe how or why it's happened. But and maybe it's to do with someone actually just holding that space for you as well, and giving you permission to lay there and do nothing for an hour or whatever it might be. There's probably all sorts of elements to it.
Oh, I think, and you know what, I think even some hospitals are starting, I don't do Reiki as such, but some hospitals are actually seeing the effects of using something like Reiki as a way to, I don't think it's not like somebody comes in and heals somebody, but it's a technique that allows the central nervous system to rest. And I think as soon as we're giving our central nervous system the opportunity to rest and recalibrate, the body actually goes into its own innate ability to self-heal. So I think, when we see it as too woo-woo, it stays there. But if we're looking at, all we're doing is we're giving the body permission to come back to its state of homeostasis and to recalibrate. And then it has the power to heal.
So good. So if you were talking to your 16-year-old self, was that the age that you...
Yeah.
Okay. And you were starting again, or maybe this is your daughter that you're talking to, and you want to potentially prevent her going through the cycle that you had to go through. What steps are you teaching young ones?
So the whole framework of my program is about this concept of creating space. So the first thing I share is this beautiful quote by Viktor Frankl, and I'll just share it now quickly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our ability to choose our response. And in our response is our growth and our freedom. What I know, my little 16-year-old self, there was no space between stimulus and response. And what we know about the brain is the more and more you create a habit of dealing with challenges in a more reactive way, and you have those unhealthy habits that are part of that reaction, that just becomes a program in the brain.
So
if I was teaching this to year nines, it would be about, okay, what are you guys doing on that daily basis to create that space? And it has to be something that, we don't wait until our space between stimulus and response is at that point that we're in reaction. It needs to be a daily practice. And I see that as us being able to create our mega self. So the most powerful expression of who we can be. And it was interesting when I started creating the program, I went, how do I feel now? What are the things that I feel? And one of the biggest things was this, I have space now. Doesn't mean that the challenges stop. It just means that I have tools in place that I can practice the pause and I can go, how do I want to respond to this? Even when I'm feeling like my brain wants to go into that space of reaction. And when I sat down, I went, oh my gosh, that I feel like I'm in my mega self. And I wrote this word down, mega self. And then I thought, okay, it's got to be the central theme of my program. And then suddenly I started brainstorming how each letter could be connected to lifestyle medicine. And it was the perfect little way of doing that, because the M became meditation. Obviously, like to year 9 boys, I say, M, maybe do some music. Put Spotify on your phone, listen to music. So the M's that meditation music. The E is exercise. The G is gratitude. The A is that asking for help. The S is sleep. The E is emotional regulation. The L is laughter. And the F is food. And I really looked at that and I went, oh my gosh, this is the stuff that I've been doing in my healthy lifestyle. And it's been able to put into this little package. So that's the foundation of Project Mega Self.
And now that that's a daily thing that you implement, all those factors, and you're really aware of it, have you ever had times still where you dip back down, and is that a natural part of life? Or if you're practicing these things regularly, do you feel like it's a protective thing against any kind of slide down?
That's a great question, because I think when I was intellectualizing the process, I thought I'd get to a point in my life that I wouldn't dip down because I was doing all these things on a daily basis. But to be really honest, Angela, like the last 3 years have been really challenging. I've been going through a marital separation and I've been doing all those things every day. But there were times that, that grief and the pain did surface, and I could feel myself, that I could feel that space between stimulus and response getting smaller. And it was this ability to come back to the framework again and again, just having the awareness of, and I've got, which is all on my website, but there's this beautiful infographic of a triangle and connecting with the triangle every day of where are you in the triangle right now. So the bottom area of the triangle is where you've got a lot of space. And the top is where you've got no space. So I would use that on a daily basis and simply go, well, today I'm at a number 7. I've got no space. I'm feeling quite agitated. What do I need right now? So really coming to that place of radical self-compassion, and that my business and the way I was serving people needed to change too through that period of me being really aware, okay, I can only see one client today because I've really got to honor what I'm needing. So again, coming from that business perspective is creating those boundaries about what I was able to give so that I wasn't depleting myself, but still showing up for work. But again, that radical self-compassion.
That's so good for everyone to hear, especially entrepreneurs. You're working for yourself and you feel like you've got to keep driving it to stay on top of things. So I think that's one of the challenges many of us have, is just creating space and not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah. And I knew, I think I knew that if I honored this space of healing and, I used the emotional regulation when I was feeling really like there was so much happening for me, and I could recalibrate myself back to the bottom area of the triangle. Then I showed up again, and it was like I could show up in the way I wanted to show up, and then I'd move back into that state of hibernation. But interestingly enough, I think the more we can become conscious of our emotions and allow them to be there without avoiding and suppressing, and maybe it is just 2 days of really letting it go, the quicker we come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I noticed was amazing. Yeah, just that practice of going, okay, I'm just going to gift myself a day to really process this.
Yes, so good. And so what the people that have been through your Megas Health program, what are they saying after they've completed it?
I think people just love it as this framework that is forever. And I've created a beautiful infographic. So there's like beautiful posters and fridge magnets. And it's this ability to look at it at any point in your life and go, okay, I've gone up in the triangle. What part of mega self do I need right now that's going to be able to recalibrate me? So, people have loved the fact that it's a lifestyle tool that's forever. And just people love the use of the triangle on that daily basis of going, okay, I'm at a number 8. I just need to take a step back today, and that's okay. Or I'm right at the bottom today. Okay, I've got all the space. I'm going to be more extroverted. I'm going to go and do those amazing things, and being able to also work within our own energy.
And if someone was having one of those really tough days, what's one little piece of advice you'd give them, or maybe a practical tool that they could use in that moment?
I think, again, it would be to just look at, so part of the emotional regulation, and again, on my website, there's this beautiful another infographic of looking at the emotional infographic, and there's about 30 different tools there. And what I like is when we're in that space and we've got no space, the brain doesn't like to work very well. It goes into that reaction. So I love to be able to just look at a little piece of paper that I've got like in my diary and go, what is the thing that I can do right now that's going to give me the most amount of space? And, one of the things on there is just having a bath.
Or my favourite thing ever.
Yeah, or getting in the garden. So in answering your question, it's noticing how we might want to go for the glass of wine, or we might want to find something that we can avoid. But it's just using that little thing and going, okay, what is one little thing that's going to just give me even that little bit more space? It might just be a 10-minute walk on the beach. But one little thing that takes you more towards your mega self potential rather than something that's going to create less space.
Amazing. So much insight. Love it. So, Michele, what's your perfect day in Geelong or down the surf coast? How would you describe your perfect day if you could have a full day to yourself to do whatever you wanted to? Just putting you right on the spot here.
Yeah, well, I've been having these days, and it seriously is my perfect day on a Sunday where I've got 2 days. One type of day where I'm with my kids, and that looks very different. But if it's all about self-care, it's been jumping in my car really early in the morning and driving to Kennett River, surfing the Kennett Point for 2 or 3 hours, then getting out the water and going to Lawn and stopping somewhere for a beautiful big breakfast and a coffee, and then having a beautiful mindful drive back, and then an afternoon nap.
Oh, that sounds heavenly.
So yes, I've been doing that a little bit. It's my little self-care day every now and again.
And what about a mantra? Do you have one you live by?
This too shall pass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, how often do we need that one?
Yeah.
And a favourite
Absolutely.
quote? Any favourite quotes?
Oh, my favourite, I wouldn't say it's a quote, but something that I'm using constantly at the moment that is just so empowering, and it's part of the G of Mega Self. So part of the gratitude is shifting my thinking from I have to do this to I get to do this. It is I don't know. It's so powerful.
It is, isn't it? Like, I have to pick up the kids from school. I get to pick up the kids
Yeah.
from school. I love that. It really
Yeah.
does pick things up, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just amazing. And I'm using it in just little things where I go, oh, do I really have to do this? And then I go, oh my gosh. You know, it might be like, oh, I have to take the dog for a walk and it's raining. And I just go, stop. I get to do this. I get to, my legs are working, and I live in this country where it's safe to take the dog for a walk, and I don't have to worry about being stabbed or anything like this. Oh my gosh, I get to do this. And suddenly I'm walking and I've got this big smile on my face. And it just shifts you in that one moment.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. So if people want to find you, where can they, is it through your website best?
Yeah, I think I've got two websites, but probably the best because we've spoken so much about Mega Self. The Mega Self website has a lot of tools on there, so you can print off all the infographics and just there's lots of stuff there. So that's www.megaself.com.au.
Fantastic. And you're a relatively new chamber member, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
What are you most excited about being a chamber member?
Oh, I don't know. It was so funny. I just kind of joined and I haven't even thought so much about it. So I'm excited to, connect with people in the Geelong region. I think for me, it's all about connection.
Right. So you'll be at the After 5 next Tuesday night, maybe?
Yes. I need to look at that one. Can you shoot me the link?
Great,
but that sounds like fun. Will you be there?
I will be there, so
Okay.
I'll see you. And I'll look forward to booking in for healing very soon. It's exactly what I need.
Yeah, beautiful, Angie.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next chamber event.
Lovely. And so nice chatting to you today.
You too. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay,
bye.
See ya. Bye.
That's my pretend bye. I cut off.
Bye.
That's excellent. I could see
that was nice.
The time limit. It's got 1 minute till this cuts out for some reason because I haven't got the professional version, which I should get. No, that's great. So much. I'll stop the actual recording. I'm Angie Hilton, and thanks for listening to Unbreakable Entrepreneurs Podcast. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and head to geelongchamber.com.au for more wellbeing tips. This has been brought to you by the Geelong Chamber of Commerce and the Partners in Wellbeing program.